kill count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies and show you how they were made. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at the original Children of the Corn, released in 1984. We've got ourselves another Stephen King story here, a 1977 short story that was first published in Penthouse, and later included in the collection Night Shift. That book, which can be seen in this movie as an Easter egg, also featured Trucks, which King himself would later adapt in his only directorial effort, Maximum Overdrive. We made you! Stay tuned for that one as the final kill count of 2024. I promise you it's a wild one. Children of the Corn follows a couple who winds up in a small Nebraska town controlled by youths. These little bastards make sacrifices and worship he who walks behind the rows. They're led by Isaac, who is just the sassiest little bitch.
Question not my judgment, Malachi. I am the giver of his word.
Bless that little devil child. I think a lot of people consider this a classic, probably because of the opening scene, but honestly, it's pretty slow and boring. There are way more exciting King adaptations out there. The script is plodding and the direction is mostly flat, sometimes just straight up bad. Like, what is this framing? Why all that headroom? They altered King's story by adding 2 kids as audience surrogates, which sucks. I don't want to listen to a kid narrate a movie or watch scenes of them playing board games. Monopoly's boring in real life. Why would I want to watch some shitty little kids play it? The score does a lot of the work here, lending an eerie soundtrack to otherwise uninspired scenes. I guess it's fun to see Linda Hamilton literally months before The Terminator came out, but yeah, overall, this doesn't do too much for me. Children of the Corn is one of those franchises, fam. The kind with an endless march of sequels into the corn. As of now, there are 10 more movies after this one, including a 2020s reboot. Although to be fair, I don't know how serious some of these are. I mean, the 9th movie, Children of the Corn Runaway, doesn't even have a Wikipedia article.
Wait, doesn't Dead Meat also not have a Wikipedia article?
Yeah, 6.5 million subs? As you probably guessed, we're only looking at the first movie right now, but I'd love to dive into this franchise sometime. I remember Part 3 Urban Harvest being fun. It has a teenage Charlize Theron in a small role. It's pretty cool. For now, let's see what happens when we get a bunch of... Oh, Jesus, who the hell are you?
We are the one who sponsors behind the set.
Oh, sponsors? So does that mean you're here with today's sponsor, Ridge?
Yes, we are here to spread our revolution in everyday essentials.
Yeah, well, I guess that sounds fine. I mean, I've loved my Ridge for years. I spent a long time trying to make the classic old wallet work, but it was always clunky and making my pockets bulge. And sure, for a while I put up with it, figured it was just what you had to do to hold everything. But now I'm able to fit all the cards and cash I need. Oh, and recently I started using their key case too, so my keys are nice and organized now as well.
Yes, our revolution and how shall we spread?
Well, whether you're looking for your own Ridge or looking to gift some to a loved one, now's the perfect time. Because right now, they're offering up to 47% off some of your favorite items when you go to ridge.com/deadmeat. So, that revolutionary enough for you? Oh, yeah, I guess so. Our company uses production codes for our videos, and this one's was child corn before editor Josh wisely suggested we change it. So, thank you, Josh. Let's get to the kills. The movie begins with some singing of the corn. Nah, give me the kids' choir. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's a simple theme that rules, just like this movie's opener, which takes place in Gatlin, Nebraska 3 years ago. Yep, that's what the screen says. We're told what happened in a voiceover by a little church boy named Job.
He was pretty smart, my dad.
Not smart enough to realize this diner's getting invaded by youths, especially this kid. That is just like central casting bad kid right there. At the behest of a hatted ghostly boy, the kids lock the diner door and poison the coffee.
Good coffee.
You wish, lady. The adult diner patrons start to hack and cough thanks to all that
Poison!
Then the evil little kids take out a hidden arsenal and attack the adults as Job and his milk mustache watches. We see a bunch of kills here, some from the poison, others from being stabbed. Oh, holy shit, they stick this one guy's hand in a meat grinder, like Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler. It's actually pretty fucked up, the way these kids just did a whole fucking terrorist attack. I'm gonna go ahead and count all 18 adults we saw in this place, even though not all of them are shown being killed. And sorry, Job, but we've got one more kill for the count. Yo mama, whom we hear getting killed over the phone. I'm counting her because we saw her at home watching Job's little sister Sarah. The day of the great grown-up massacre was inspirational for Sarah's artistic career.
That's when Sarah started drawing these pictures.
The coloring sucks, sure, but the lines aren't too shabby. Good enough to throw some opening credits over them. I've said it a bunch. This opening sequence is great, and the rest of the movie is mostly a bore. I think it's because this was director Fritz Kirsch's first feature film. He was a TV commercial director who was hired when a close contact of his became an executive at New World Pictures. New World had bought the rights from Hal Roach Studios, which initially had different plans for the movie.
He had an idea to reinvent the Little Rascals through this. No one wanted that.
I think Kirsch's inexperience drags the movie down, but I truly love how proud he is of having made this film. In present day, a couple is headed to Seattle so Bert can start work as a physician. Sure seems like Bert and Vicky have got the life, with Linda Hamilton waking him up with a little singing number. It goes on a little long, but you know what? She commits to it. It's fine. She's more committed than Bert anyway. There's tension between them since he hasn't proposed to her yet. On their way to Washington State, they cross into Cornland. No, Jonathan, stop! I mean Gatlin, the nicest little town in Nebraska. Isaac rules over it after having had all the adults murdered. One kid, Joseph, doesn't like it and decides to escape with the help of Job and Sarah, but they're too little to take along with him, so he leaves them behind. Sucks to suck, suckers! Joseph cuts through the cornfields, which is a real dumb idea. There are spiders in there and chanting on the soundtrack that might be saying, mongoose? And broccoli cubbies? Weird prayer. There's also a murderous child of the corn there, who kills Joseph and sprays his very red blood all over his suitcase. Well, hey, now he'll be able to tell it apart at baggage claim. Bert and Vicky, let's call him Bicky for short, are looking at a map when, holy shit, they hit a kid in the road, holy Bick! Bert finds Joseph's dead body, not realizing at first that it was already dead and placed there before he hit him. And that's the kind of Three's Company misunderstanding that'll, leave you with some trauma. Bert quickly realizes this kid came pre-killed when he sees his slit throat and bloody suitcase in the cornfield. See, it stands out. While he checks on that, Vicky checks on the body.
I'm so sorry.
Haha, never mind, it was just a dream. Director Kirsch told Linda Hamilton they had a mannequin under the blanket. She didn't know it was a real kid until he jumped out at her.
To me, that's the best scare in the movie.
They put the boy's body in the boot to take off towards town, opening his luggage for clues. Oh look, a corn cross.
Jesus Christ.
Not in my book.
Aw, you're not down with Jesus Christ? Job and Sarah are in their old house, doing all sorts of things that Isaac forbids, like listening to music, playing games, and dressing up like they're putting on a production of On Golden Pond. Their characters were created by screenwriter George Goldsmith to help introduce the audience to the story. Goldsmith replaced Stephen King, who had written a draft of the movie that wasn't very cinematic. Apparently, the first 35 minutes were just a couple arguing. Yeah, sounds like a Stephen King novel. The author wasn't a fan of Goldsmith's revisions.
He and I had a phone call where he said, you don't understand the horror genre. And I said, no disrespect, Mr. King, but I'm not sure you understand cinema.
Angry Ginger Malachi interrupts the fun times and tells them game over with a knife. He shoves them into Isaac's office and gives a stupid little bow before handing over Sarah's prophetic drawing of Bert and Vicky's car. He confirms her vision is true since he saw the car after slitting Joseph's throat in the field. Vicky gets to a gas station with ye old horror movie harbinger.
What about Gatlin?
Gatlin? There ain't nothing in Gatlin.
This guy Deal tells them to keep going to Hemingford and sends them on their way. But that's not good enough for the children. Or the weather? It seems like the weather's getting pissed. Deal starts to hear kiddos and swears he's been Field.
I never told him nothing. I swear it. I kept our bargain, just like always.
But then he finds the bloody handkerchief of his dog Sarge who had run off earlier. He's about to have a Farmer Green moment and rip this corn out with his bare hands. He ends up in the barn where he has a showdown with the killer kids, mostly consisting of close-ups. It ends with him running off screen and onto the kill count. The only shot we get of his body is but a bloody arm. At least it was a strong arm. Deal was played by R.G. Armstrong, who was also in Predator as the guy who recruited Schwarzenegger for the mission. Isaac gives a sermon to all the shitty little kids about their good God.
In the dream, the Lord did come to me, and he was a shape. It was he who walks behind the rose.
These blind kids all follow the leader in their love for quirky Vegas acts.
The Blue Man! Yes, the Blue Man!
Oh, they must only like one of the men's solo careers. This blue man is a cop they've killed and crucified. But, I mean, look at it. That is textbook bastard Skelly right there. I don't care how much you dress him up with clothes like a person, he ain't going on the count. Although, turns out he almost did qualify, since the scene was filmed with the character being killed in a police station. But it was ultimately cut for time, so fuck him. Isaac tells them what's the word. The word up is that they've cast out Joseph the Betrayer. Then he uses Malachi's intel and Sarah's drawing to prophesize that 2 outsiders will be showing up soon. Sounds like a great gift for their lord.
Make sacrifice unto him. Bring him the blood of the Outlander. Praise God! Praise the Lord! Praise God! Praise the Lord!
While Stephen King's script was a political allegory having to do with the Vietnam War, screenwriter Goldsmith had a different inspiration.
Children of the Corn was really based on the revolution in Iran and the taking of the Americans as hostages.
He compared Isaac to the Ayatollah Khomeini, Malachi to the Revolutionary Guard, Bert and Vicky to the American hostages, and even the gas station owner to American oil companies. It all makes sense, but of course the movie also works as an exploration of any kind of blind faith, regardless of sect. Since the road signs have been fucked with and the cornfield makes for a shitty highway, Vicky ends up going to Gatlin, which is a complete ghost town. I've been through tiny towns on road trips before, but none quite as dead as this, or as murdery. Hey, I see you 2 back there! Yeah, go home to your parents! Oh, wait, you killed your parents. The couple still gives it the old college try, hoping to find a phone, but instead find fucking just lots of corn everywhere.
What is it with this corn?
I mean, where do you want to start? Government subsidies? They start to leave empty-handed until they notice movement in a house on the edge of town. Wait, Bert, you can't just walk into someone else's house. Ain't you never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Malachi's probably waiting behind a sliding door with a sledgehammer. Just kidding. I don't think that kid could swing a sledgehammer. They find a bunch of drawings and the little girl who drew them, Sarah, listening to a record in her room. She tells them all the adults are gone and that Isaac is their leader. Yeah, maybe just turn around and leave, Vicky. Instead, this idiot tells Vicky to stay with Sarah while he walks back to town by himself. Great idea, dude. He scopes out Gatlin, where they teach corn, worship corn, and, try to mail corn? He checks out City Hall, but, I don't think he wants to meet their mayor. Dude looks scary. The house that Vicky's in gets surrounded by armed corn kids who scale the roof and pry their way inside. Bunch of little corn ninjas. She finds them waiting for her downstairs, and then they chase her into a room and do a mini Shining shot. Her lamp attack has less AoE than she hoped for, so they seize her and carry her away, as Sarah shields her ears from more chanting on the soundtrack. After shooting had wrapped, director Kirsch brought on composer Jonathan Elias, who had worked with him on commercials. It was Elias's first feature film score, and he did great.
Given what the time frame, what the budget, what it was, I'm pretty proud of that score.
As he should be. The budget was so low, he didn't even record the kids' choir part in his studio. He had to bring them to his house.
Back then, I think I did all the kids in my bedroom.
Oh, hold up, dude. Phrasing. The kids take Vicky back to Isaac and put a little corn crown on her. But there is tension within Corn Kid leadership. Isaac doesn't like that Malachi killed the Harbinger.
And did you not spill the blood of the old man when his oil and gasoline were still useful to us?
We have our own fuel now from the corn.
Oh shit, y'all going ethanol? Bert gets back and kicks his way into the house, where he yells at a tiny little girl until she says his lady was taken away. The corn stalks appear to open for him as he heads into the field to get his corn girl back. They're making her corn on the cross though, just like their old pal Blue Boy. Or Blue Man, yeah, like Blue Man Group. Those kids do love those guys. Bert pops out of the corn at the church, where they have my single favorite shot in the movie. We love the Sabs! Oh wait, someone's filling up a corn cup with chest blood? Never mind, these shots are pretty cool too. Bert walks in on it and tells them to stop, prompting the ire of Corn Kid Lieutenant Rachel.
Hold the Outlander!
I love that he's like, what the fuck, you're kids, get off me. He just walked in on a birthday party. Amos here is turning 19, graduating out of the child part of the Children of the Corn. Can't be having young adults of the corn, except maybe for a reboot on CW. It's tradition for these kids to be sacrificed when they reach 19, just like it's tradition to stab adults in the chest, oh damn! Bert ain't about to let a kitty-sized stabbing stop him though. He pulls that shit out and waves it at the youths, then just runs the hell away. They chase him, but that stab ain't doing shit to slow him down. Thankfully, he trips over nothing, since this is a horror movie, and between that, their enthusiasm, and sheer overwhelming numbers, they're able to surround him at an intersection in another cool shot. Wait, but then they lose him again? God, kids are so fucking stupid. I mean, except for any who watch our videos, you guys are cool. Man, this whole movie is slow, but this is when you start to realize that nothing really happens in it. Like, Bert is able to deter Malachi again, but then runs face first into a pillar? What are we doing here? He finds Job, who hides him away in a cellar where he and Sarah live.
Isn't this neat? My dad built it. It's when the communists launched the first strike.
I don't think it's the communists we have to worry about, Job.
Unless you hate music, the communists have the music. Gatlin was played by 4 different towns outside of Des Moines in southwest Iowa. They included Hornick, Whiting, Salix, and Sioux City, which was also where the cast and crew stayed at Howard Johnson's. They got to know the communities they shot in and cast local theater kids. The townspeople were excited for a movie to shoot there and gave them a lot of friendly support.
No problem. And we'll make a cake for you. And afterward, could you come to barbecue? And then we're having casino night.
They were so kind and wonderful. And there was one town that just said, oh, here, have the town, we'll leave.
Production didn't have to build anything, often only needing to dress abandoned buildings that were already slated for demolition. The only problem they had was with the corn. Kirsch wanted his characters marooned in a sea of corn, but they found a lot of the cornfields in the area empty. Part of the problem was that there was too much corn in the country, driving prices down, so the government was paying farmers not to grow it.
There were so many farmers were calling us up. They wanted us to burn their corn because the prices of corn were so bad. They figured they'd make more money, renting it out to a movie company.
And the corn that was there was at the end of its season and turning brown by time production began. You can actually see that in some of the super wide shots. For closer shots, they'd go in and literally spray paint it green.
Our art department was out with green paint, spraying fields of corn and try to make them look green.
Back in the cornfields, Isaac feels his flock falling away from him.
Not blaspheme, Malachi. You know not the laws. He speaks them only to me.
I think not, Isaac. You are the one who's lost favor with them.
The argument erupts into full-on mutiny, with Malachi beating him down into the ground. The little man throws one more tantrum, trying to retain control.
I am the word and the giver of his laws. Disobedience to me is disobedience to him. Do it now, or your punishment shall be 1,000 times 1,000 deaths, each more horrible than the last.
But Isaac's a yapper, and Malachi's a doer. And he's got that 40-year-old looking kid backing him. So the others all switch sides. Damn, not even a schism or nothing? I guess they all want a savior. Say fuck that. Or suck that, to censor it for the kids. Isaac and Malachi are 2 of the best parts of this movie. Even Stephen King, who did not like the film, complimented their performances.
And you just said, that Courtney and I did a great job and that we would probably go on to do better stuff.
Actor John Franklin was quickly cast since he was a 23-year-old man who could convincingly play a child.
I have growth hormone deficiency, so that's why I'm really short and 5 foot and look young as a result.
He even came pre-styled. He had just done a commercial for a Star Trek Atari game, and his hair had been cut to look like a Vulcan. He'd returned to the series in Children of the Corn 666, Isaac's Return, which he co-wrote. He was also, at one point, supposed to be the voice for Chucky before Brad Dourif redubbed the role. Child's Play's director Tom Holland still had him voice the scary-ass giant Chucky in the commercial.
Good guys say 3 different sentences. We even turn our heads and blink our eyes when you talk to us.
We've seen Franklin on The Kill Count in Tammy and the T-Rex, and his other credits include Cousin It in The Addams Family and its sequel. Meanwhile, Courtney Gaines was 19, an actual teenager who got into character by psyching himself up as they walked through the cornfields to set. His intensity goes back to his audition, where he pulled out a prop knife and grabbed one of the casting directors.
He pretty much, quite frankly, shit his pants.
Gaines has consistently worked his entire life, including in Rob Zombie's Halloween, but only the director's cut, since he's one of those gross prison guards whose rape scene led to Michael's escape. The kids tie Isaac to a cross as he screams in futile rage. He'll be sacrificed to He Who Walks Behind the Rose alongside Amos, who's here reporting for duty. Amos is played by John Philbin, whom we just saw as one of the punks in Return of the Living Dead. The good kids and Bert run through town at maximum little kid speed, which is, pretty slow, until they get to a barn that lets them see far off into the field. That corn party looks pretty fun to the old Bert Meister, so he sets off to join them as the sun goes down. By time it's dark, the kids are ready to greet He Who Walks Behind the Rose.
He's come to welcome me.
Now, if you thought these corn kids were full of corny shit, you've got another thing coming, because their corn god is real, and possibly a graboid? Either way, we hear Amos get killed by him off screen. The dirt shifting effect was done with an upside down wheelbarrow on a wooden track in a ditch. They had a canvas over it covered with loose soil and vermiculite, and pulled the wheelbarrow with a cable on a tractor.
So for about $100, we made this monster.
Isaac continues to scream as He Who Walks Behind the Rose appears as, man, I don't even know what this staticky ass effect is. And that color on it? Yeah, this seems like they couldn't come up with anything good. Except this effect as Isaac dies. They just launched a corn cross straight up into the air. Bert busts in and hits a kid with a pipe to rescue Vicky. She runs off as they surround him, but he defends himself with that pipe and some Sunday schooling.
Any religion without love and compassion is false.
Malachi tackles him from behind, but the grown-ass man obviously gets the better of the teenager, just backhanding him over and over again. But when the time comes, he refuses to kill Malachi, which gives these bloodthirsty kids some pause. Pause enough for someone else to join them.
Malachi! He wants you too, Malachi.
And I thought that kid was creepy before. The pet cemeteried Isaac grabs Malachi and kills him by breaking his neck. Yep, that's it, the neck snap. Malachi's death was supposed to be more elaborate, but they changed it to a neck snap to save time. In fact, a lot of the final act's effects got cut for time. It was a big disappointment to Linda Hamilton, who has called Children of the Corn her worst film. The rest of the plot scatters and takes cover as the weather picks up. Judging by the air pressure, I think they've got an angry god on their hands. Job tells Bert that before he became a skelly, that cop tried to stop the kids and their god by burning the field. Bert figures that's a bright idea, so he decides to try it himself. He heads out with an irrigation hose, but the stalks and leaves in this place aren't gonna let him off so easily. Good thing they're just plants, so he cuts his way out of them with a blade that might be small enough for Boy Scout regulations. He hooks the hose up to what it needs to be hooked up to, I don't know, farm stuff, and then follows Job's instructions and cranks that bitch up. Better hurry, dude. The crappy looking He Who Walks Behind the Rose is almost here. And it is, yep, real weird looking. This effect was done by injecting ink in liquid. I guess it looks okay. Way better than these slowly bending corn stalks, which are just not scary. Bert tosses a gas bomb, but not far enough. So Job retrieves it and runs it back like a little Olympic torch runner. Kid's like, try not to fuck up this time, okay? He doesn't on his second throw, successfully landing an explosion on the evil god and lighting it on fire. Or at least lighting his cornfield on fire. That thing is a motherfucking inferno right now. Oh wait, no, yeah, I think their god is literally blowing up. Yeah, is that his face in the mushroom cloud? Why does it look like the Grinch's face? Oh man, maybe don't try to make this movie in 1984. Those explosions were done with big bags filled with gasoline buried 6 to 8 feet underground. They exploded upward, mostly as planned, but the cameras caught it at the wrong angle, possibly due to brandy consumption, so they added some effects on top of it later. Picky and the kids escape, but find that their car has been completely corned. The next town is 19 miles away, but they decide they can make it on foot. And great, now I guess they're adopting these kids. I'm sure that won't cause issues later that you're not considering right now. Before they can make off all in the family, that Rachel kid reappears, a true believer.
You must die!
I alone am best! She tries to kill Bert one last time, but he just knocks her out with the car door and they leave. Seriously, that's the end of the movie. Hey, at least they're leaving her in there with the windows down, you know? I wouldn't want her to overheat or nothing. How many people became corn fertilizer thanks to some evil kids? Let's find out and... Oh my god, no. Oh, it's he who counts behind the rows. Ah! 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 I counted 24 kills in Children of the Corn, the vast majority of them in that opening scene. There were 9 female victims and 15 male victims, giving us this corn pie chart. Wait, is corn pie a thing? I'd eat it. We've seen this count and breakdown once before in The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. Don't believe me? Go watch that episode. Maybe a few times. And with a runtime of 92 minutes, Children of the Corn had a kill on average every 3.83 minutes. I'll give the Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill to all the victims in the opening scene collectively. This opening is a great little horror short. It's legit creepy. Dull Machete for lamest kill will go to Amos, sacrificed entirely off screen with nothing but sound effects. And that's it. Children of the Corn came out in 1984, but the sequels didn't start until the 90s. And you know, that's always a good sign. Until next time, I'm James A. Janice. This has been The Kill Count.
On the next Kill Count.
Help wanted. Video services for 1 day.
Discretion is appreciated. Whatever that means.
Location, a creepy mountain cabin. The client, the nicest guy you could ever meet.
Hi.
Even if he's a little jump scary sometimes.
Sorry. Didn't mean to do that. Keep doing that.
Creep has become a cult classic in its own way, a horror fan found footage favorite.
Would you mind telling me about it?
I'd love to. It follows Aaron, a videographer who gets hired off of Craigslist by Joseph, a dying man looking to record some final words. Like that Michael Keaton movie.
My Life?
Well, I was talking about Beetlejuice, but okay.
It's a beautiful film.
Problem is, Joseph is eccentric, to say the least.
That's what it feels like when you feel like you're gonna die.
And as the day goes on, he only proves to be more of a creep.
Hello, my name is Peach Fuzz. I might look like I eat you up.
Please stop doing whatever that is.
I'm sorry.
With just 2 dudes and a camera, you might not think Creep has a lot going on.
There's nothing we can do.
But it's a great, tense, low-budget thriller anchored by Mark Duplass's unsettling performance.
It's incredible, isn't it?
So this week, grab a fuzzy friend and watch Creep.
Why wait?
Then on Friday, creep onto the kill count, only on Dead Meat.
This is gonna be a good day.
Creep can currently be watched on the pictured streaming platforms. Dead Meat always recommends you watch the movie for yourself before its kill count. It's the only way to have your own properly informed opinion. Kill counts are never meant to replace the experience of watching a film.
Thanks a lot for watching this kill count for Children of the Corn. I'm serious, I would love to have an excuse to just sit down and watch this entire franchise over a couple of days. Whether that's a video on Dead Meat Presents, where maybe Chelsea and I rank them, or talk about the series as a whole. It's unlikely that I would be able to do the entire series in kill count form, just because each of these episodes takes so long to make, but I would like to, dive in there somehow. But to make that more likely, make sure you sub to Dead Meat Presents, because then we can do videos like that and it'll be worth it. Also, yeah, if Dead Meat wound up with a Wikipedia article shortly after this, I wouldn't be upset. What do we gotta do here? We have caused terms to trend on Pornhub, all right? Tell me that's not influential. That happened twice. It was with, I think, Wrong Turn 6 and Slumber Party Massacre. Chelsea and I love citing that. I wanna thank some patrons like Hags, BST of Horror, Best of Horror, Thomas Accardo, Chris Newcomb, Aiden Rudder, Denny, Kaylee Rivera, and Andy Lou. I also want to thank Grady. Grady was at least a fan 6 years ago in 2018 when I interviewed him in my Monster Palooza video. When I covered the Saw series, I initially, as a joke, said I was going to cover Children of the Corn. And Grady was one person who had wished that it was actually going to be Children of the Corn. So Grady, I don't know if you're still watching, dude. I hope so, but regardless, I hope you see this episode, man, because this one's for you and me. I like covering movies like this. Thanks, everyone. Be good people.